Hey guys, in today's video, I'd like to compare a Titan Bitcoin company, MicroStrategy, with the Bitcoin mining sector. Most of you have been hearing about MSTR performing very well in the year 2024. In fact, they've outperformed most companies in the entire world here, especially with the rise in Bitcoin. We've also heard about Bitcoin miners with the miners lagging behind MSTR, especially with the rise in Bitcoin. However, not all Bitcoin miners have been underperforming. We've seen some Bitcoin miners accelerating as well. But overall, this video is to provide you an overall assessment as to whether the Bitcoin miner sector or MicroStrategy, which one will perform heading into 2025, or will it be both? I'll go through my technicals and fundamentals analysis. First off, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. So first off, I'd like to talk about the overall technicals here. So what you see here, the top item here would be MSTR's overall performance. So you see MSTR at one point, they got up to about $500 within the year of 2024. They've gone up close to about 1,000% in positive proceeds. They've been the workhorse in 2024, and all of that is attributed to the rise in the Bitcoin price as well as MicroStrategy using that hedge, their overall strategy of buying up more Bitcoin to just dominate the market right now. And I believe the fact that everyone believes in Bitcoin not going away, it's a finite number with the amount of Bitcoins available. You can't engineer more Bitcoin. So I believe MSTR is piling up. They're stocking up with Bitcoins because they know that in the future, Bitcoin price will continue to go up. So that's why you see that upward trajectory here, just within the year 2024. And what you see down below here, so you see like Core Scientific in red here. You see Riot in the light red, and then you see Iron here in teal. In green, you have Hut 8. In purple here, you have Mara, and you have this bright orange here, Riot, and you have btdr here in that light blue. So overall, as you can see from a zoomed out view, we're looking at it from like the year to year comparison. Bitcoin miners have not performed in the same way that MicroStrategy has performed. Granted, MicroStrategy, they're like the main company that's doing what they're doing right now. So they're unique in that sense. And for that reason, you see the price going up. Now, the question is, will we continue to see the price continue to go up? That's going to be really up to one to assess whether they have conviction as to whether MSTR will continue to go up. And just the fact that MSTR just announced news that they will be enrolling in the NASDAQ 100. So think about the QQQ passive investing. That's coming in Monday. And I think just with the Friday's recent trading, MSTR getting up to about 11%, including in the aftermarket. That just shows the sentiment. We've seen the Citron news come out a couple weeks ago at the time when MSTR had that extreme rally and it went from like over 500 now to around the 300 range at like $364. But I think there may be support ground established here, and the fact that there's news about entering the NASDAQ 100 and eventually getting into the S&P 500 index. MSTR may continue to blow things out of the water heading into 2025 because when you think about it, when you're into those index funds, you're basically leveraging passive investing, and everyone will start basically acquiring Bitcoin when you think about it if they're investing in passive index funds in the stock market. But just looking at the overall miners here, I mean, What's unique about the miners is that they are able to mine at a fixed cost depending on their fleet efficiency, power mining abilities, costs with power, and their ability to mine at different throughputs. So you'll see here as we zoom in, you'll see different performers here. So just zooming in here, you see Core Scientific here from a zoomed in perspective from like March through now. They were like the leading workhorse. So from a zoomed in perspective, they actually outperformed just looking at the recent downward trajectory with MSTR. They've actually performed very well here. And when you look at other plays here like iren, btdr, Hut 8 and green, they've accelerated quite significantly. But these are the miners that don't really have such a big HODL. So you look at like Hut 8, Bitdeer, Iron, you know, and Core Scientific, they're not the leading miner producers where they have a high hash rate or a HODL. Most of the companies that have the high HODL would be like the ones down below here. So you see Clean Spark in pink, you have Mara here, and then you have Riot down below. In fact, it's an anomaly looking at the top three minor hodlers, Mara, Clean Spark, Riot. They're at the basement low with the highest HODL count with the highest mining throughput. But it's really the companies that have that new speculation pipeline in play with HPC quantum computing that's really dominating. So most of you are wondering, what's the benefit of miners that have multiple pathways versus just being a pure miner play. So you have to factor that in as well. But just from a zoomed out perspective, you can see here MSTR continues to dominate. Yes, while we do see that from a technical standpoint, it is, overbought here, just looking at the RSI, but that doesn't mean that it can't continue to go up when you look at it through the lens of like how they're the high-end quality Titan company right now, holding on to Bitcoin, correlated with the rise in the Bitcoin price. But again, there can be risk implications. But let's say when you look at miners here, you can look at it through the lens of especially the miners who have underperformed. They continue to look like they're undervalued. Let's take a look at just overall HODL numbers here. So you see here, one of the biggest benefits is MSTR. They have more than, close to about 500,000 of Bitcoin eventually. They've been just acquiring more and more Bitcoin weeks after weeks, just getting more money from investors and, placing that hedging to build on their Bitcoin reserve. That's the one of the key factors that's driving up NMSTR's price, especially with the correlated increase in the rise in Bitcoin price. Here we saw Mara, we saw Riot, and Clean Spark as like the top three miners that are like at the basement low, even though their HODL account is quite high here. So it's quite an anomaly to see that the miners ranked in number two, three, four. I mean, Hut 8 is up for the recent months because of their HPC AI platform. But looking at CleanSpark as a pure miner play, those three miners with the highest HODL count, highest mining throughput, they're at the basement low. So when you think about it, 2025, will things shift? It may be, right? Because things don't just stay the same way every year. We'll see outperformers, underperformers, all of that changes. The dynamics change very fast. But just to show you why MSTR is the titan right now in the Bitcoin community because of their overall HODL count. But that doesn't mean that these miners down below um, don't have power within their overall strategy as well, on top of what they can do with mining capabilities at a lower fixed cost than just buying Bitcoin, similar to what MSTR is doing. So let's just take a look at MSTR in terms of what they're doing week after week. So you see here since November 11th through the 18th, 25th, and then 4 weeks within December, they've just been buying up Bitcoin here. So in about 2 days, we'll hear more about how much MSTR acquired. They know that Bitcoin, there's about less than 2 million Bitcoins available. They're trying to buy up as much Bitcoins as possible because right now it's going to be a race between countries to buy up Bitcoin, and eventually Bitcoin is going to be depleted. And once it gets close to that scarcity mindset, psychological aspect, it's going to get more expensive. Supply and demand, where demand increases, supply is low, price will eventually just increase. And here you see IBIT, here index funds. We see continuous purchase of Bitcoin price week after week, but the HODL count for MSTR has grown substantially within the year 2024, especially with the rise in the Bitcoin price. So let's take a look at just an article from Bitcoin miners. So one of the upsides with Bitcoin miners is that they may gain 13.9 billion yearly from just the AI shift to quantum computing and AI cloud-based service. So Bitcoin miners could increase profitability and improve bad balance sheets by allocating their energy capacity to like the AI HPC sector. So there's been recent news. We know, Hut 8 may potentially work with Meta. btdr is involved in HPC AI, Core Scientific, Iren, and just recently, Riot just got the announcement where Starboard acquired a big load of Riot shares because Starboard is trying to pave the way to convince Riot to use their current Corsicana facility, which hasn't been fully deployed and utilized, implemented in full-scale operations, to expand its pipeline to consider tapping into the AI HPC sector to really gain on positive proceeds on the AI revenue-based service, especially when there's peaks and troughs with the Bitcoin price heading into the future years. So that'll provide consistent revenue. But just overall, I think that this helps Bitcoin miners look at different opportunities to potentially generate revenue, consistent revenue across the artificial intelligence and high power computing platform in the upcoming years. So I think this really opens the horizon for the miners to really tap into the innovation, getting into the AI sector. Demand there is increasing, and that's independent of the Bitcoin mining that's happening, in addition to what they're looking at as they increase their mining capacity and deploying it into these new sectors that can really add value into the US economy and the global scale. Just looking at the potential value boost from AI conversation at current valuations here. So we know BitDeer is exploring, BitDigital is working on HPC capacity, Bitfarms as well, Cypher. There's no discussions from CleanSpark. We know CleanSpark is a peer miner play right now. They're hoping to just ramp up their exahash to 50 with the convertible note. Core Scientific has HPC capacity along with Hive. Hut 8, of course, talks with Meta potentially working out a deal. Iren with the solid HPC platform. Now, we haven't heard anything from Mara, and just recently with Riot, there's potential upcoming news that will be announced, and the share price may start going up as well, along with TeraWolf exploring. So it's not a new topic, especially in the miner community, and that's why I think that the miner industry is really going to consider tapping into this new sector here. And just looking at Core Scientific, the fourth largest Bitcoin miner by hash rate, they landed a 12-year contract with AI hyperscale CoreWeave, and that deal is expected to generate 3.5 billion in revenue by supplying 200 megawatts of infrastructure, along with Hive Digital continuing to expand its HPC services in gaming, artificial intelligence, graphics rendering industries, according to the fourth quarter 2023 report. So that's one of the bright sides that we see with the Bitcoin miners. That's speculation, excitement getting into a new sector. So that's why I think miners also have that really bright horizon as we think about the mining sector, on top of just with the opportunities for continuing to hodl Bitcoin, similar to what MSTR is doing at a fixed cost with mining, as well as taking convertible notes, buying up Bitcoin. We've seen that with Mara, with Riot platforms, with Hut 8 just recently acquiring 100 million Bitcoin. So a lot of similar playbooks that we've seen with MSTR, but of course, the amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheet is not even close to what MSTR has on their balance sheet, which is one of the biggest benefits for why MSTR's rise in performance with its share price continues to dominate here. Let's just take a look at, what we see with one example with a miner here, and that's CleanSpark, a pure miner play. Here we see that they've mined 622 Bitcoin, averaging about 21 Bitcoins mined per day. One of the unique things about a Bitcoin miner like CleanSpark is that they have a fixed cost at mining. So their overall month end fleet efficiency is at 19 joules per terahash. So one of the leading Bitcoin miners when it comes to efficiency. I think iren is like the number one with like 15 joules of terahash. But when you think about Bitcoin here is like CleanSpark, for example, the 21 Bitcoins that they mined, each Bitcoin in terms of cost expenditure, fixed cost for like power energy that they spend to mine to get that reward of getting a Bitcoin is 40,000. But when you look at MSTR purchasing big loads of Bitcoin, even though there's no interest rate at this time that MSTR would have to pay, is that they acquire it at the current fair value price, whereas CleanSpark really just acquires Bitcoin based on fixed costs. So it costs them about $40,000 per Bitcoin. And they basically can take in the remaining difference with the current value. So let's say if, Bitcoin at the current price of 100,000, they pay 40,000 fixed costs. So that's a 60,000 difference profit with each Bitcoin mine. So when you look at 60,000 times 21 Bitcoins per day, that's their profit margin for mining from a month to month scale. So that's the difference between, you know, the miners versus MSTR, as well as seeing the benefits of having MSTR versus a miner. And just going back to the overall charts here, most of you are wondering from a zoomed in scale, which companies are going to dominate here, right? Will it be these basement low underperforming miners at the bottom low here? So we have Riot, we have Mara, we have CleanSpark. I mean, these companies we saw earlier that they are like the top three hodlers and the top three mining producers. Will they continue to underperform in 2025? Will it be Hut? Will it be Iron? Will it be Core Scientific? Will it be BitDeer that will continue to be the top performers in the miner community? I think because things change so fast, it's very dynamic in this type of environment, especially with a large number of miners, especially with different strategies going on right now. Things can change, but overall, most of you are wondering, can MSTR continue to catapult up? I think that there's that possibility, and I would consider, let's say if you like both sectors with MSTR and miners, think of MSTR as like Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia continues to go up. They're the best AI-based chip company out there, and they're supporting different miners. When you think about like Hut 8, Iron, they're using NVIDIA chips. So when you think about MSTR, I mean, especially with the rise in Bitcoin, this can continue to go up. However, I think that we should consider just understanding where the support line is being established, right? We're beginning to see consolidation at 364, and I think come next year we can see that start picking back up, break through that prior test of like 500 and continue to go up as Bitcoin price goes up beyond 200,000. But that's my overall takeaway. I think there's so much value here, especially with the undervalued miners. that have been underperforming. And I hope this video gives you an insight on the comparison between the two sectors. Now, if you're new to this channel, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe.